Oh, I don't like that at all. No, 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 no. That, I don't like that. That is horrible for placing. That is dog crap. No, that's like literal dog crap. Nope. Do not use that option. That option is not good. I'm turning that one off right now. Keep that one off for your own mental sake, please. What is good, my VAR gamers? It is VG Infection here, and in today's video, we are going to be playing some Age of Empires 2. We're going to be doing it with controller in hand and on the console for all you console gamers out there. I'm just going to be doing a video today on how to mess around with the settings and kind of figure out the settings that you guys like a lot. I've been seeing a lot of people in comments have questions about basically things in regards to settings. So I just figured I'd make a quick video going over what settings do what, how they affect the game, and just little things like that. So if this is the kind of video you guys enjoy, do be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. And before we hop in the video, a quick word from today's sponsor. The sponsor of today's video is HelloFresh. HelloFresh is America's most popular meal kit, and there's a reason why. With over 30 fresh meals to choose from weekly, you can find the perfect meal for your needs. My fiance and I chose the meatloaf sandwiches, and we were super excited because we didn't really know what to expect, and this was our first time ever getting HelloFresh. You get all the ingredients you need shipped right to your door, and you get step-by-step directions on how to cook it. There's no commitment needed, you're able to skip meals or even cancel at any time. At the end of the day, I got to cook a cheap, homemade cooked meal with my fiance, and I enjoyed every second of it. Not only is it approved by us, but by my dog Boone as well. And for a limited time, you can use the code in the description to get a whopping 65% off your first order. Again, thank you HelloFresh for being my first sponsor ever. And without further ado, let's get the ball rolling on today's video. Alrighty, so we're just gonna hop right into this, guys. So to pull up your options or to get into the settings, you just press start on the controller, scroll down here to options, guys, and then it will pull up the options tab. And we're just gonna start from the top and work our way down to the bottom. So the first one here on the left is interface. So if you press A on interface, it will pull you into the screen. The cinematic text fade in, doesn't matter. Tooltips, extended tooltips, that doesn't really matter either. This will just be more of an in-depth explanation of what you're clicking on and what it means and what you can do with it and stuff like that. I just have it off because I don't like having more on my screen than needs be. I like my screen to look kind of clean and pretty, and I don't like too much stuff. It makes it too cluttery, and it just makes the game more confusing than it needs to be, honestly. So I have that off. I have that off. Obviously, in the input on top, it should say controller and then game language, English, or whatever language you speak. And then right down below this, guys, there's going to be color. Now, color, we're definitely going to break this one down a little bit for you. So right here where it says unique player colors, what this is going to mean is if you've been in games where everybody is a different color on whether you're friends or your enemies, you know, there's green, yellow, red, blue, pink, teal, all those different colors, those are unique colors. So if you have issues figuring out who your friend and who your foe is from game to game because the colors are constantly changing, who's on your team, who's on the enemy team, you can just simply turn this off, guys. And when you do this, so as you can see, like right now I'm blue, my enemy's green, my teammate's red. Well, when you do this now, so I'm going to click B and then click yes to confirm changes. Now it makes my teammate yellow, I'm blue, and both the enemies are red. And this will stay true always. So you will always be blue in this setting. Your teammates will always be yellow. Even if you have, let's say, 3 teammates, all 3 teammates will be yellow. And then all your enemies will always be red. So that way it makes it a little bit easier for you to identify who's your friend and who's your foe. And there's less confusion between what color means who. This is a really good setting if you just keep getting confused on, you know, who's your friend and who's your foe. I've had people in comments talk about this before, so I figured I'd just explain it real quick to you guys. But I typically do unique colors on, just because, you know, when you're making callouts with your friends, you know, hey, teal's attacking me, or we're going to attack teal here. Well, if you have this on, you're not going to know which enemy's teal. You're just going to see all the enemies as red. So when I play, I just have it off, or on, unique players on. But I know some of you would probably prefer it off, which is totally fine. It doesn't matter. I know it would definitely make it a lot easier for you guys. So there's that setting. There's colorblind mode. There is health bar colors. which health bar color is unique. Basically just means whatever color the nation is, whenever you do damage to a unit and their health bar comes above their head, that health bar will be that color. And you can change this. You can go blue, red, green. You can make the health bar colors whatever color you want. I just like unique because it makes whatever color that nation's unit's from, if they have health missing, it will show it in that color. It just makes it a little bit quicker and easier to identify, you know, what unit has how much damage done to it from what player. Terrain grid color, I didn't mess with this at all. If this is something you want to mess with, go for it. Interface. Now, there is two interfaces. There's advanced and there's standard. Standard is going to be more streamlined, as it says in the bottom, for new players with large icons and core functionality. It's a little bit easier to navigate. I just have it set to that for now. I'm no expert at this game yet. I enjoy the standard. If you want to start messing around a little more with advanced, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. Advanced might have additional perks for you to use, might make you a little bit better as a player, and might have more options and more choices for you. That's totally cool. I'm just sticking on standard for my game. In-game HUD scale, I just keep that at 100. Your in-game HUD, that's going to be like your mini-map, your villagers, military, monks, town centers, your D-pad there, you know, your left trigger, all the stuff around your screen, that's your HUD. So basically, if you go into options and you go down there to it and you change your in-game HUD scale, this will shrink everything. You guys can see it in the background as I'm doing this. It's shrinking my mini-map. It's shrinking my top bar. It's shrinking everything in the HUD. It shrinks. So if you want more screen space, this actually wouldn't be a bad idea. And you know, I might actually, instead of 100, I might drop this down. I'm going to do 80. I like 80. It leaves a little more screen space for me to see. It doesn't make everything look so cluttery and just keeps everything kind of nice and small. Border safe margin. This really, I would keep it on none unless you have like a screen where you feel like the game screen is like basically going past the borders. And if it is, just click this. And then what the game will do is it will create borders and it will put the game within those borders. So that's a really good setting if for some reason you have a monitor or a TV for whatever reason and it's making the game go outside of, you know, the boundaries of your TV. You can just turn that on and it will create a border and keep the screen right in between it. But I keep mine on none because my monitor has no issues with that. Readability panels on. This just has text and stuff. So basically whenever text comes up, there's going to be like a black panel behind it so it's easier to read. I just have it on for now. In-game notifications, duration, I have that normal. And like I said, guys, a lot of this stuff is just going to be kind of going through it. Not a lot of this is like super important. This is all just kind of more preference. But, you know, this is a settings video, so I'm going to go over as much of it as I can. Taunt text, you can have this on or off. I have it off right now because some people like to spam that crap and it just gets annoying and I don't like it all over my screen. So I'm going to keep it off for now. Rollover info, I don't even know what that is. I'm just going to leave it off. Text scroll speed. This is how quick the text will scroll if there's like long enough text that it needs to scroll. I think the preset was slow and I just have it on slow for now. Tooltip scale, so like whenever the tooltip pops up with like any tips or advice it's giving you, it's just the size of it. I just have it set to 75. I think that's default. Safe delete, let's see here. Select to be prompted before deleting crucial buildings such as town centers, castles, monasteries, or wonders. I like that in case you accidentally click delete on a building that you didn't mean to do it. It's just going to make sure it asks you, you know, do you want to delete this building? Is I believe what it's asking or saying it's going to do. So not a bad one, but if you're like, wow, I know I'm going to delete the building I'm going to delete, I don't want to waste time with having to double click delete or whatnot, then you can turn that off. Display future items, enable to preview icons for buildings, units, and technologies, which will only become available when certain conditions, such as advancing through ages, are met. Okay, so basically, for example, if you have, let's say, and I'm going to see if I have any upgrades still I can get. Okay, yeah, so like if you have any upgrades and you have already gotten all the upgrades for the age you're in, but the next upgrade you have is in the next age, it will still show it, but it will just be darkened out, basically saying, you know, you need to progress to the next age to get this upgrade. Well, if you change that setting, those won't even show, period. If it's not available in your age, the upgrade isn't, it's not going to show it, period. So I like it because I think I think you should be. I think you should see what's coming next, because that way you have a better idea in your head of, you know, what upgrades you still haven't got, what upgrades you have got, and what upgrades you need to look forward to when you age up. So I'm going to keep that one on. Or off, I mean. Off. You want it off. All right, text scroll speed. Okay, nope, never mind. I was confused. I was up here. I meant to be down here. So display future items, you want that on. Display future items, leave it on. Walk path display. This is basically just showing you, so like when you click on a unit and move them, you see how there's that walk path right there? That's basically what that is. I like that because if they're geeking out on anything, it kind of gives you an idea. You can see like, oh, they're geeking out right here, but they're trying to get over here. So you know what they're trying to get to, and you can quickly fix it that way. So yeah, I like that one on for sure. That's a good setting to keep on, I feel like. Let's scroll back down here. Classic health bars. This is really just a preference thing. Again, this has to do with the health bars. I'm just leaving it off because I don't know what classic health bars were, but I like the health bars how they are now, and I'm just going to leave it. Health bar scale. So this is basically when someone is missing health, this is how big the health bar will appear over their head. Again, this is something that's completely preference. For me, I typically like to bring stuff down a little bit when it comes to scaling because I don't like my screen to be too cluttered with too much stuff. I like it to be pretty easy to identify what I'm trying to look for and look at. So I'm just going to bring this down just a little bit. All right, and that's the interface tab. We went through all that. That is done. So I'm going to click B, and now we're going to scroll down to graphics. So in graphics here, my preset is set to custom because I have messed with some of this stuff in here a little bit and tweaked things because I have noticed even on an Xbox Series X, you will run into performance issues sometime depending on how many units and how many buildings and how much is all happening at once in the world. So I do have some custom settings and we'll go over those here. Okay, so if you're gonna have custom settings, you need to have show advanced options on. That way you can see all these advanced things here. Otherwise, these won't appear in the settings tab if you have that off. So under advanced, there's anti-aliasing, and I'm gonna break these down a little bit and explain them to you as best I can. I'm not gonna pretend to know what all these do down to the T, but I'm gonna do my best to explain them based off the knowledge I have. So anti-aliasing, select to smoothen hard edges on in-game graphics. Disabling may increase performance. So what this is if you have it on, it's going to smoothen some of the edges on some of the assets and the things and the graphics in the game. Make it look a little bit sharper, make it look a little bit nicer and cleaner. Now, it is letting you know though, if you're having performance issues, this is probably one that you want to turn off, because what it'll do is this will take less strain on your console to have this turned off. So if you guys are having performance issues with your Xbox or with whatever you're using in this game, this is definitely one that you could turn off. For now, on my Series X, I'm good. I haven't noticed any issues, so I'm gonna leave it on because, you know, I'd rather my game look a little bit better, especially from like a content creator standpoint. You know, you want your games to look as best they can. You know, obviously performance being number one, but the performance is there and it's not being affected by this, so we're just gonna leave it on. Render 3D water. This is another good one. If you're on like an ocean map like I am, and you know the water, there is a lot of graphical power that goes into rendering this water, especially when you have a lot of it. And when you have the 3D water on, it looks nice like this. You know, you can see all the ripples, the waves. It looks nice, you know, for a game being built back in the 1990s like this. It looks pretty good. But if it's, again, if your Xbox is having performance issues, I would suggest turning it off. As you guys can see too, when I change it off, it instantly changes the water. It makes it kind of dark and dull and not really have a lot of detail to it, which is fine. It doesn't look bad. It just makes it look less good, basically. But this will, again, save performance, save power for your console, your Xbox, whatever you're playing on. This will just save it some, you know, performance power. I'm going to leave it on, though. Like I said, my Xbox Series X runs it fine. Render beach waves, I have it on. If you turn it off, there's just no waves on the beaches. You guys can kind of see that over there to the right of the screen. Basically, either you have waves or you don't. You know, it boils down to if you want performance or not. Vignette, select to enable in a My goodness, I can't read right now. Select to enable a vignette effect around the border. I guess you can kind of see what this is doing. If you look to the top right of the screen, when it's on, it kind of creates like a shadowy effect. So you can kind of tell when you're getting closer to the border of the screen. Honestly, I'm not even going to lie, dude. I don't even want that on. I don't know why that was on. I'm having that off. It probably takes graphical or like, you know, CPU, GPU power just to have that on too. So I'm just going to turn it off. I think it looks better without it. Map lighting. This really changes it not all that much. It looks like when it's on, it just kind of brings the contrast down a little bit, makes it a little less sharp and bright. With it off, it looks just like everything's a little bit brighter, so the color will kind of be, you know, the color won't look as good probably, but I'll leave it on. Like I said, I don't think this one affects your performance all that much, but if it does, it's something you guys can mess around with, like I said. Blood is a big one. So with blood being on in the game, like, you know, when you kill an enemy, they fall on the ground and there's blood everywhere. When you have, you know, 200 units going at it in a big battle, all that blood that the game has to render could definitely take a strain and a toll on your performance. So if you're noticing, like in fights, whether big or small, whatever, if you're noticing specifically during the fighting phase that your Xbox, console, whatever, is starting to take kind of a performance dip, I would turn this one off, because this is a big one. This is a lot of particles that the game has to render when you're in fights. Alright, so here we have render quality, basically. Particles I have set to high. It looks like there's low, medium, high. Again, guys, this is something you can change if you're having performance issues. If you turn it to low, it's not gonna look as good, but it'll probably run a lot better. So, you know, performance is always number one. In my mind, whenever I'm playing a game, I want it to run good and smooth. I don't care if it looks like dog crap. As long as it's running good and smooth, I'm happy. My Xbox runs it fine on high, so I'm leaving it on high. For bloom intensity, let's see what this does here. Select to enhance bright areas of the world. Disabling may increase performance. So here we have another one, guys. I'm going to turn this. Select to enhance bright areas of the world. I don't really... I guess I see what it's doing. It's kind of like the light effect, though, to be honest. And what if we turn down the intensity? I don't really see much of a change there. I'm just leaving it on because it probably makes the game look a little bit better. Definitely one, though, where it does, in the description, say disabling may increase performance. So again, if you're having performance issues, this might be one you can turn off. It really doesn't look like it makes all that big of a difference anyways in the screen. So like I said, you're not really losing out a lot by turning it off. Sharpen intensity. Select to sharpen in-game graphics. So this will sharpen it, make it look a little crisper, a little bit cleaner. I'm not seeing a whole lot of change when I turn it off. And maybe this one you have to like turn it off and go in the game. We can look real quick. Turn off. I mean, I'm looking right up on these buildings and stuff, and I'm really not noticing a huge issue. Let me go back to it real quick. Graphics. Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't notice much of a difference. Like, even as I scroll this, I don't notice, like, any difference. I'm just going to leave it where it was at. I'm not really noticing much on what it's doing. Gamma intensity. This should be your brightness. Brightness is considered or called gamma in most games. So, like, when you turn this down, it's going to darken my game. Kind of make it look like almost it's like, you know, fall or evening time. But for the best looking experience, I would probably say just leave it at the default. Maybe bring it down a little bit so it's not so hard on your eyes. Maybe if this game is causing a lot of strain on your eyes, this would be a good one to turn down. Just because it is a pretty bright game. There is a lot of white and bright lights in it. So yeah, that's maybe one you could turn down, and I'll put mine at like 80.8. So we'll keep it there. It'll probably look a little bit better. Animate fog. Select to animate the fog of war. with clouds. So fog of war is basically when you don't have your enemy discovered or like a zone discovered. There's like kind of a fog of war effect over that area until you discover it. And with that, there's this animate fog, which is basically, it has like a moving effect, so it looks like actual fog. You can turn this on or off. This would be a really good one too if you're having performance issues to turn off, because especially in the early game, there's a lot of undiscovered area, so that means there's a lot of fog that's being animated throughout the world. So that would be kind of a good one to turn off. And I might even no, we'll leave it on. We'll leave it on. Like I said, I haven't noticed a lot of issues with my Xbox, so I don't want to tweak too many of these. And then animate fog border, probably just about the same thing. Again, if you're having performance issues, just slide that one off. All right, so it looks like we got done with graphics. Let's go ahead and move on over to audio. All right, guys, this one is a really easy one. There's really not a lot to it, but we're just going to quickly go through it. So for music volume, I have mine set to 0. That is really mainly due to me just being a content creator. I don't like loud game volume in the background, especially when I add my own music in my videos typically anyways, just because I like the music I add. It changes things up, makes it a little bit different for the content creation standpoint. And also, I'm going to be honest, when I play games like Age, I'll throw on Spotify and I'll just jam out to music a lot of times when I'm playing. So I don't want the clash of my music in my headphones clashing with the in-game music volume. Now, I will say, a lot of games' music is good, and Age of Empires 2 is definitely one of those games. If I wasn't making content in this game and I was just playing a game and I didn't have Spotify on, I would definitely turn this back up. And I do that a lot, actually, when I'm just playing by myself and doing my own thing. I'll turn the game volume back on because I actually enjoy it. But yeah, that's just one I've set to 0 for now. And then the sound volume, voice volume, and narrator volume, I have set to 25% because I feel like this game's preset at 100 is so loud. Like, it is so loud. And it just... especially like, so if I back out here real quick and you go over to all my villagers smacking 50 different trees, we got dudes farming up the wazoo, we got people smacking gold up here, we got people smacking stone, we got people fighting, all those noise can become a little bit intense when you have it set to 100. So I have mine turned down just so it's nice and peaceful and quiet. I can still hear the game fine. But this game, when you get all the noises going at once, can be a lot for the old eardrums, let me tell you. So I just have that one turned down to, soften the game a little bit for me. Soundtrack playlist. I have not looked at this, but this is cool. So it looks like you can change the kind of music and the theme that's going on in the background. I like that. That's really cool. I just have mine set to standard. My music's not even on though right now, so it's not a big issue. But that's one you can mess around with if you want to, have a little bit different track going on in the background. Taunt audio I have on, and I know we talked about earlier in the interface the taunt text, so I can still hear the taunts. Like, it'll still taunt, and they'll say whatever they say, ha ha ha, I'm in your town killing your units, whatever they say, whatever taunt they choose. I'll hear it, but it won't pop up on my screen because I have it turned off for the text, because like I said, I don't like when people spam it and I got a bunch of text, but I don't mind hearing it. I think the taunting in this game is really unique for RTSs, and it's really fun and funny, and me and my friends have a lot of fun with it, especially in multiplayer when we're messing around with people. So this is definitely one that I keep on. But if it's something that irritates you, you're like, dude, I don't want to listen to people spam that crap, go ahead and just turn it off, and then you don't got to worry about listening to the taunts. Menu narration off slide. I hate the narrator. I think narration is so annoying. I get why it's there, but for me, it's a no-go. I don't like narration, so that's all turned off. Tooltips narration off. Game objects narration off. So there you go. That's the audio one, guys. Pretty simple, pretty basic, and that's my settings for it. All right, guys. So now we are on to game under the options tab. So under game here, you can enable or disable crossplay. Obviously, this is a huge preference thing. If you guys don't want to have to deal about playing with PC people on this game, on multiplayer, go ahead and just turn that off. I, for the most part, don't mind playing against them. And then also I have people who play specifically just on PC, like in my friend group. So most games I have to play crossplay anyways if I want to play with my friends. I do occasionally turn this off if I'm by myself and just want to relax and play against people who have controller and not have to worry about playing against keyboard and mouse people. But for the most part, I typically just leave it on. Again, that's just completely preference. Record campaign games. This will just basically record your games, and I believe there's an area in the game where you can go back and watch your recorded games. This is something that Age of Empires does that I think is really cool, and I think more games need to get back to having like a theater mode. I remember back when like Black Ops 1 had a theater mode. You can go back and watch your games and view any player you wanted. It was just really cool. It made it easy to identify who was actually cheating. You know, you could go back if you suspected someone of cheating, and you could watch the whole game from their perspective. And also, from a content creator standpoint, it makes creating content way easier because you can just play the game and then just record it in theater mode and add commentary afterwards. So this is one I really like, and I just obviously keep it on for content creation reasons, and just because I feel like when you go back and watch your games, you can learn a lot by just watching rather than actively playing. You can learn a lot of your mistakes and things that you could have done differently in the game when you go back and watch through the game. So that's a really good one. I'd keep that one on, unless it might cause performance issues. I don't know how that all works, how the recording works, if it's during the game, after the game, or whatnot. But if you're having like issues and there's like freezing going on after a game or whatnot, maybe you could turn this one off. Okay, so we have the gameplay settings under here now. So for gameplay, the default aggressive unit stance, I leave this one on. And the reason I do this is because when you click your units, for example, and let's say you don't even press the aggressive attack move, which is X. When you click X, they move and they're on aggression. So basically the nearest unit or building they can attack, they'll attack. But if you press A, it's technically a non-aggressive move. So like I could move over here by enemies, and as long as you A click, they won't attack anything until they get to that destination. But when they get to that destination, they will be on aggressive, not neutral. So once they're sitting there, if they see an enemy, they will automatically go and attack them before they're attacked because they're on aggressive. So I like that, because if you don't have that option selected, let me see what it was called again. Default aggressive unit stance. If you don't have that on, then when you set units and A click them and they're just sitting there, they will let the enemy attack them first before they attack back. And I feel like that already puts you at a disadvantage with your units. So I would leave this one on specifically. I think that's a good one to have on if you're going to be competitive and you want to have the best outcome in your, in your matches with your military units. I would just leave that one on. Max control groups, looks like you can have a max of 12, minimum of 8. This is really just preference if you're going to do a lot of micromanaging. Maybe it'd be beneficial to have 12, but oh my goodness, dude, I can't imagine controlling 12 control groups with a controller. I'm sorry, that's not for me. Default auto reseed reset. Farms and fish traps will be set to auto reseed / reset by default. I would keep this one on unless you're getting annoyed that they keep auto setting themselves up, then I would turn it off. But this is just reseed. This isn't like auto farm placement below it. This is just auto reseed. So when the farm runs out of seeds and it's dead, they reseed it automatically. I don't know why you would want this off on controller. That would be so much work to micromanage all the farms that are dying and having to reseed them. Just no, leave that one on. I'm serious. Do yourself a favor and leave that on. Same with the automatic farm placement. Unless you get annoyed with how your villagers place the farms and you don't like the way they're placing them, I would turn it off then maybe. But leave this one on unless you really want to micromanage a lot with your farms, because this helps so much as a controller player. This is a huge advantage to us controller players because people on PC do not get this. So I would leave this on because this is an advantage to us. This is less that we have to worry about that a PC player will have to worry about. They do have to manually place all their farms. We don't. So this is a good one. This is a win. I would keep this one on. Building range indicator. So I don't know what it's preset to. I think I changed this one. I have it to show when selected. So what this does, guys, is if I back out of here. So obviously I have lots of buildings, right? I have my keeps, I have my watchtowers and such. So when you click on it, it's going to make this ring, and that ring is its range of attack that it can attack in. So I have it just set to only show it when I select the building, because I don't want that always showing for all my buildings. That would get confusing. But like when I click on a building, I like to be able to see what its range is. This can be really useful information when you're setting up defenses for your base, or even if you're outpost rushing or keep rushing or castle rushing, whatever. It's good knowledge to be able to see what its range is. So that option I definitely have it set to that, and I'll go back to it real quick. Under game. And all right, so there it is. Build range indicator. I have that set to show when selected. You can always show when selected, or never show. I would have it set to show when selected though. I think that's the best option there. Player color on building range indicator. Let's see what this one says. Click to have the building range indicator be displayed using the owning player's color. Oh, okay. So all that's saying is, just like with my buildings, as you can see, the ring is blue. If I click my teammate, because he's red, where's his? His will show red, you know, greens will show green, and yellows will show yellow. I don't know if he has, yeah, it doesn't look like he have, oh, I guess his TC would. Yeah, there you go. So you can see, so it's saying basically with that on, that whenever you click on a building, the color of that building is the color of the ring around it. Again, that's just completely preference. All right, and then let's see, visual feedback. So here's the next group of stuff. Let's see, terrain grid display for building placement. Off for ranged units, for ranged buildings and units, always on. Click to set when to display a grid on the terrains. The toggle visual grid hotkey for building placement. Grid displays when placing objects such as buildings. Okay, so I think what this is saying, and I believe this is what it's saying. So if I click like a villager and I'm going to go build, you see how all of a sudden the grid pops up? Now it goes away. Pops up, goes away. So basically, this is just making it so you can better gauge, you know, how you're going to set up buildings, because there's a grid, and you know, all these buildings have a grid size. So, you know, like the house is basically a 2x2. The mining camp's a 2x2. The lumber camp's a 2x2. You know, the keep's I think like a 3x3 or 4x4. So this just makes it a little bit easier to figure out where you're going to place it and things like that. So I would leave that set to how I have it set, which I'll pull it up again here real quick for you. Terrain grid display for building placement, because if it's always on, I just feel like that would be so annoying. Like, to always see that grid over the world would be so annoying for me. I would hate that. I feel like that would cause performance issues too, because it's got to render the whole grid. And then if you just don't want it at all, you can turn it off. Okay, so for the next one down here, health bars. This one changes how health bars is displayed. Default health bars appear on hover on damaged, owned, and allied units, and while enemies are taking damage. Classic health bars only appear on selected units, and then always on health bars appear all the time for owned and allied units, and while taking damage for enemies. So I think default, yeah, so default health bars appear on hover on damaged, owned, and allied units, and while enemies are taking damage. I like that. I don't think I need to change this one. This one is definitely a preference thing. There's no right or wrong, I feel like. Unless you want to have like constant health bar popped up over any unit always that's damaged. Maybe if you want that information, yeah, I guess you could make an argument that that's, you know, a good thing to have. But for me, I'm just leaving this one on default. Show resource amount for a short period when harvested. I like this. This gives you an idea of how much you're harvesting. Again, maybe if you're having a performance issue, this is one you can turn on. It's just less the game has to do. Object highlights. Choose from different shaders to highlight objects. Hover highlights help to accurately see what your cursor is pointing at. I don't know what these do. Object highlights. Okay, so we have it. I had it off. Only selections, only hovers, all. Let's see what this does. I'm going to be honest, I didn't notice much of a difference there. All maybe? Let's see. Okay, see what your cursor is pointing at. Yellow highlights show that your selected unit can interact with the hovered object. Selection highlights help to tell selected apart from unselected objects. You can use both types together individually or none at all. I have no clue if I would like this more on or off. I'm just leaving it off for now. Maybe this is something I can mess around with on my own time. But for now, I don't really feel like I need this. honestly. I mean, let me turn it to all real quick and just double check and see what this looks like. So I'm assuming what this means is... Okay, so see how it highlights that building yellow now? I think that means like this unit can interact with that building, right? Like he can interact and he can drop off at it. Where like if I were to look at this, he can't drop off food at a mining camp, so it's not going to highlight it, if that makes sense. So like this building highlights yellow because yes, he can drop off at it. This building doesn't highlight at all because he can't drop off what he has at it, period. So I kind of like that. I mean, that's not horrible. I mean, definitely like as you get better at the game, you're going to know like, oh, the guy farming farms is not going to be able to go over here and drop off stuff at a mining camp, right? Like that's kind of just common sense things, but I guess I like that. It's not horrible. Maybe I'll leave it on, you know? Maybe I'll mess around with it and I'll leave it on. Oh my goodness. I did not realize there was a lumberjack meeting over here. Holy smokes. Yeah, let's get back to work, folks. Where's more trees? Here, come over here and steal from neighbor. All right, but back to what we were doing. Going back to game here. Let's scroll back down. I guess I'll leave that one on for now. I kind of like that. It's not half bad. Something little. Minor tweak to the old game. So we have objects, highlight all. That's the one we just messed on with. Selected unit portrait on. Displays a portrait of the selected unit besides the reticle. I like that. Just so if you click on a unit and you scroll away from that unit, but it's still selected and you forget what units you have selected, it'll have that icon so you can, you know, still see what units are selected. I'll keep that one on. I like that. And then navigation waypoints, automatic generation of navigation waypoints, automatically spawn navigation waypoints over key landmarks when discovered. I don't necessarily know what that's exactly saying, but okay. It was on by default. I'm not going to touch it. And I think that's it for the game section under options. So yeah, let's move on over to controller. Okay, so the first controller setting here is vibration. I have mine off because I like playing with controller vibration off. I don't like having my controllers constantly vibrating in my hands. I don't like my controller's batteries constantly dying because of it. And I've just always basically played with controller vibration off. I can't say always, you know, for the longest I played with it on, but I'd say in the last couple of years I've come to enjoy having controller vibration just turned off. So for me, I have it off. That's completely preference though, up to you guys. Show taunt combo languages. So basically when someone taunts you, there's like a combo you have to press for certain taunts, and this will just basically show you what combo they use to say that taunt in case you want to know. Just throw that taunt right back in their face too. I have that one on just because, you know, why not? Makes it a little bit easier to learn the taunts that way, I feel like. Okay, so now we have camera behavior. So the first one here is pan speed, and what it says here is move the slider to increase or decrease how fast the reticle moves when you tilt. So right now, you know, when I move with left stick, it's decently quick, you know, like it's not bad. And I think what it's saying is when I turn that one up, so like for now, let's like turn it way up. Let's go like 85, right? Save. Yeah, now it's like almost unusable. Like that's so fast. If you want to zoom around and make yourself dizzy when you're playing the game, by all means crank that sucker up, but that is not for me at all. I don't think you guys would want to watch my content if it was that fast. You know, we'd all be getting dizzy by the end of the video. So I dropped mine down to 20% and it is staying at 20%. I'm not moving it off that. Pan inertia can be applied. So basically what this does is it has an acceleration / deceleration effect. So like when you first start moving, it'll start slower and then speed up. And as you start slowing down, it'll deaccelerate. I don't like this. I like it to just go whatever speed it's going to go. I don't want it to have to speed up or slow down when I'm moving stuff around. I don't like that at all. So I have that set to 0. Marquee size scale. So the marquee is... Let me back out of here. Come on. There we go. The marquee is this. When you hold A, this is the marquee, that little circle that pops up where you can select like multiple stuff and multiple people. And so when you go in the settings here, and you change the marquee scale size. So if I crank this sucker up to 200%, back out of here, and hold A, now my marquee is giant. So you could select a lot of units really easy with this. But the problem is if you're trying to select like just people on the edge there, so like let's say just these two, it's like really hard. You know what I mean? So I don't like it that big. I have found that a good size for me with this is 60%, and I'm gonna leave it at 60 because that's what I play with now and I enjoy it. So 60 is plenty big for me. The marquee speed scale, this increases how quickly it grows. So like if I put that to 200%, now it's gonna grow really fast. Boop, just it's there, right? It doesn't even grow. It's there. So I like to have it grow because like I said, if you're trying to like just get a couple people right here on the edge, I guess honestly guys, I might leave it at 200. I like that. I think that'll be easier for what I'm trying to do. I like 200. That's something I didn't know I liked. I like that. So I'm going to leave that at 200. I want it to grow instantly. I like that. I think that'll make selecting units a lot easier rather than having to wait for it to grow. So, hey, you know, we learn something new every day. I didn't know I liked it at 200, but now we do, right? We learned together. All right. Let's keep going down the list here. Minimap, camera lock behavior, loose minimap reticle, fast pan. Sets the default behavior of the camera while using the minimap reticle. Loose minimap reticle allows the reticle to move freely without panning the camera. Fast pan locks the camera to the reticle. I think you're going to want loose minimap reticle. Unless you want it to pull you around where you're going on the minimap, I guess. So I'll show you. So if we turn it to fast pan, and then you hit right bumper, see how it pulls me with where it's at, right? Well, if I go back into here, into options, controller, minimap, and then do loose minimap reticle, go back. Now I do the same thing. I hit right bumper, pull up the minimap. Notice how I don't move with it. Now you can, I believe I can jump to, nah, maybe, or yeah, okay. No, that's just pulling up keeps. So yeah, I don't think it'll let you. Yeah, it doesn't. So this really depends. If you want to move with your cursor when you're in your minimap, have that set. If not, then just leave it off. I think I'm going to leave it off. I don't want to move with my minimap when I'm doing that, because a lot of times I'll micro manage like my scout using that feature by just pressing different areas on the minimap, and I can stay looking over what I was looking over previously. I'm going to leave that one the way it was. I'm not going to mess with it, but that might be one you guys want to mess around with. It's a pretty, I like that. Good choice options there. Minimap reticle speed. This obviously just changes the reticle when you're in that minimap mode, how fast it moves. I just have mine set to 50. That feels plenty fast. You know, maybe we'll bump it up to 55. Feeling a little freaky right now. Minimap inertia. Inertia can be applied. Yeah, I don't like these inertia effects. That's staying off. Move the slider to change the default zoom when the game starts with. So right now it's at 0. You know, maybe we'll start with like 10% zoomed out. So if it's 0, it's going to be zoomed all the way in right when you start the max. Your camera is going to be zoomed all the way in, where the more percentage you go up, the higher the camera is going to be zoomed out. So maybe we'll do 15. All right. So we are at magnetism now. Now this is one I definitely know a lot of you guys I've seen in the comments talk about with other people, or had people comment things about this. So with this one, I think it's set to default on and on. So what enable reticle snap does is it snaps the camera to nearby objects on release of the stick while magnetism is enabled. And then enable attraction, this makes it so the magnetism, so basically when you're scrolling around, let's say you scroll past like a lumber camp, the magnetism will pull your cursor, it'll magnetize it towards that object, or like a house or a keep or any structure or anything, it'll magnetize towards it. So I'll turn these both on real quick and I'll show you. So before I could move around freely and my cursor never got pulled towards anything, right? But now, as you guys can see that, it pulls. I don't like that at all. And you can even see with the effect, because I don't think it's set to 10% normally. I think it's turned up even more. So like, for example, let's say I turn that sucker up to 70. Now you're really going to be able to see how it pulls. And like, let's say I'm trying to build a house, right? And I got a bunch of houses. Well, it's going to magnetize and pull it and snap it to stuff. And I don't like that. I like to be able to freely move around. I don't want my cursor to be affected or pulled towards anything. So this is a big one, guys. I would almost say you should be playing with magnetism off. Because magnetism on can be a pain in the butt, especially when you're trying to build structures, houses, lumber camps, stables, barracks, walls, anything, dude. This can get so annoying to deal with, and I hate it. I really do. I hate the magnetism in this. So I turn both those off. I don't want my reticle to get pulled towards anything unless I put my reticle on that thing. So for me, these are both turned off. But really, that's a preference, you know. If you guys want that magnetism, by all means, have fun with it. Small reticle. So let's see. Select to enable smaller reticles. Larger reticles are recommended for larger displays. I don't know if I've messed around with this one. Let's turn it on real quick. Oh, wow. Yeah, that reticle is really small. I think I like that. I'm not even gonna lie. I think smaller reticle is the move. Then again, that's hard to say. It is nice not having that reticle being so big in the center, but at the same time, I feel like when you're in a pinch and you're, you know, early game, you're doing all this microing with all your different villagers, and you gotta, because like it takes a second for me to get it right on them sometimes. Where like if I go back, go into options, controller, and I turn that off. Yeah, see how much easier it is for me to like select and find stuff. I think I'm gonna leave the big reticle on. Again, I think that's completely preference. There's no right or wrong on that one. But for me, I think the reticle size is fine. I don't think I need the small reticle. Loose reticle mode. Allow the reticle to move independently around the screen, only panning when reaches the edge of its bounding area. You can choose between a rectangular or circular bounding area. I'm just gonna turn. I haven't messed with this. I'm just gonna mess with it to see what it feels like. So now, instead of the screen moving with my reticle will move within the screen, and then as I get to like a certain portion of the screen, it'll start moving, right? I think for me personally, this is a no-go. This is a no-go. I like when the whole screen just moves with the reticle. I don't know why, but I like it. I don't like that. Yeah, we're just turning that one off. And the reticle opacity, 100%, I don't know, maybe let's turn it down to like 50 and see what it looks like. Basically, this is gonna make it how easy it is to see your reticle. So now it's gonna have a little bit more opacity. It'll kind of blend into items and things like that. I mean, it's definitely softer. I mean, I don't think you'd want it too low because then it would just blend in with everything, but like 50%, that's not bad per se. Maybe I'll just turn it up just a little bit more, but I'm fine with leaving it kind of like that. I mean, I don't think it needs to be 100%. We'll do like 65%. I think we're good on that one. Input options, press or hold menus. Choose whether in-game menus open by pressing an input, holding an input, or both. This is set to default, and I've learned how to play with it, so I think we're going to leave it on both, but I guess this is something you could mess around with to see if like maybe there's a different style that you like a little bit more. It flows a little bit nicer with how your play style is. B button build mode behavior. So if you're in build mode with a villager and you click B right now, it deselects the villager, right? Ooh, hold on. I might do this. Exit build mode. So before, like let's say I was on a villager, right? and I was trying to build a house and I clicked B, it would deselect the villager too. Like I'd have to go back over and click A on the villager, and then if I was trying to select something and build it, right? But now, with how I have it set, with that new setting, I press, you know, on a villager and I go to build. I'm like, I don't want to build this here, or I didn't mean to click that, or, you know, whatever. I need to switch to a different building. I can click B, but that villager is still selected. So I can just literally go right back to building something else, right? So basically, all you'd have to do is just double click if you wanted to deselect the villager, right? You just double click off of them. I like that. I think we're gonna try that one out. I think I'm gonna leave that option changed. Okay, so we have that switched to exit build mode now. Building placement grid snap. Choose whether the reticle snaps to the terrain grid along the building preview during building placement. So basically this will make it so you can't just freely move around the grid. Like it will snap the buildings to the grid. So like if I click on the goodness gracious, and then I press Y. Oh, I don't like that at all. No. That, I don't like that. That is horrible for placing. That is dog crap. No, that's like literal dog crap. Nope. Do not use that option. That option is not good. I'm turning that one off right now. Keep that one off for your own mental sake, please. That one will drive you up the wall, I promise. Wall placement behavior. Changes wall placement behavior. Press requires one press to start the wall placement and another to confirm. Hold starts the wall placement upon pressing the button and confirms upon release. If both is enabled, the player can use either method to place the walls. I would stick with both. Basically, all they're saying is you can press A and then slide the wall wherever you want and then press A again, or you can press and hold A, slide and move the wall wherever you want, and then release A and it'll set it to be built. Either way. So I like both. I don't think it matters really all that much, but I'm going to leave it on both. Control scheme alternatives. Split, select, /send. Alternative control scheme where pressing A selects the target object, pressing X issues a contextual command, and pressing A over empty ground deselects. I'm leaving that off. I don't even know what that means. Alternative bumpers triggers. Alternative control schemes where left trigger opens the command menu, right trigger opens the menu map, and right bumper chains commands. I don't like that. Nope. I like how it is now. That would take a little bit to learn. Maybe if that's something you're interested in, with where your bumpers would be like your chain commands and your triggers your right trigger would open up your menu. I don't know. I don't like that. I'm leaving that off. Right stick behavior, villager priorities. I guess we'll leave it at that. That's what it's been. I don't think I want to mess around with that. Reset zoom. Nah, we're leaving that. We're not touching that. Friendly units selected / friendly units targeted. Change the default behavior when a friendly unit is selected and another friendly unit is targeted. Select changes the current selection to the targeted unit move commands. No. I'm leaving select. I'm not leaving move. I think what it's saying is if you click on a friendly unit, it'll move you right over to that unit, where if you just click select on it, you can still move around freely while that unit's selected, so you can see stuff. I don't know. I'm leaving that on select. Selection behavior. So easy select military. I would have this on, because what this means, so if I go back and let's say I move my military, let's say your military is over here by all your vills, and you're like, gosh darn it, I got enemies moving in, I gotta pick out my military from my villagers. Well, if you have the setting set, easy enough. If you do this, see how I have all the villagers selected? Now, even if they're within the villagers, it will only select the military units. I like that personally. It makes it way easier to fight within the area of your villagers. I think that's a really good setting. I'm going to leave that one how I have it set. Again, if you wanted to change it to where it goes to, let me look at the other option. I believe it's to where it favors the villagers. Yeah, so like if you were to turn that off and turn this on, then it would easy select villagers. So rather than, if there's villagers and military units in the same selection pool, it will select just villagers. And if you have them both off, it will just select all of them. But I would leave, personally, from what I've experienced through playing this game, I would leave easy select military on and easy select villager off. Because here's the thing, you kind of already have an easy select villager anyways, with just double pressing A on them, right? So if I double press, come on, not the trees. There. So if I double press A on a villager, all the villagers in my screen will be selected as well. And like if I zoom in, right, all the villagers in my screen will be selected. So you kind of already have an easy select villagers anyways. So like, you know, let's say his army's pulling up. I'm like, oh my goodness, we need to get y'all out of here. I just double press A on the villager and then move them, right? Like, it's not a thing. But I think the easy select military, you always want to have that be the priority, 100%. All right, let's scroll back down here. Quick find press / hold behavior. Choose whether pressing and holding a direction on the D-pad cycles through selected units. I think this is default, and oh, okay, I see what it's saying. Yeah, so basically, for example, if you press left trigger, right? That's the military press. Well, it'll start cycling through all your military, right? If you keep pressing, it'll cycle all your military. So if you're trying to find a specific military unit and you don't know where they're at necessarily on the map, you can just keep pressing this until you find them. However, you can also press and hold left bump or left on the D-pad, and it will select all your military units on the entire map, not just on your screen, but the entire map. So like, let's say for example, I move some of these guys down here, right? We'll let them run down there. And then we got some military units right here. And we'll move them up here. Okay, so technically they're not on my screen at all. But if I hold left on the D-pad, now every military unit that can be selected in the world is selected. And then I can press A here and they'll all converge on this spot. Or I can press, you know, once on the D-pad to the left and it will start selecting individual units. So if you change that option, like if I scroll down here, and if you change that to press cycle local, that means when you do those options, it will only do stuff that's visible on your screen. So I would leave it on global, because this is really nice if you've lost military units clear out on the world. All you have to do is hold left on the D-pad and press A, and they'll run to that spot. So I would keep that on global, 100%. Leave that where it's at. Okay, so we have quick find snaps to units. Commands, D-pad commands that select units will also move the camera to the selected units. I like that one as well. I would keep that one on. Unless you don't want it to pull you all the way over to where that unit's at, then you could turn it off, but I like that because then I can see where it's at and move accordingly, right? Quick find villager behavior, I would leave this on idle. Basically what it does is it chooses whether up on D-pad selects all villagers or only idle ones, which basically, no, you definitely don't want that to select all villagers. That would be a mess. So like right now on your D-pad, let's say I got a villager that's idle, so I can't make one, or yeah, I can make one idle. I'll just turn off my auto resource. So let's say I move him here, right? When he stands, once he gets there and standing around, he's going to be idle. So now you see one idle villager on the bottom left of the screen. So now when I press that, it'll only select that idle villager. Now if you change that setting and you press up on the D-pad, it'll select all your villagers. I don't think you want that. That'd be a mess. You would never be able to quickly identify which one's idle and how to move them over to a resource. So yeah, I would not mess around with that. I would leave that one how it is. All right, so let's go back to options here, controller. Quick find snap units, quick find villagers idle. Like I said, we're keeping that on. Quick find military behavior, chooses whether left on the D-pad selects all military units or only idle ones. I would leave that one in all. 100%. As I explained earlier, you want it to find all your units when you push left on the D-pad that way. Quick find naval units, I have that off. Find menu pages changes the number of pages in the find menu to show more or less commands. One page limits the commands to core commands for general play. 2 pages show a unique page for building types, and 1 for unit types. I guess if you don't want your military buildings and your economic buildings, so like I changed it to 1, right? So now if I go here, I guess that's 2 pages though. So I don't really know what all that one does, to be honest. I think I'm just gonna go back and change it to 2 because that's what it's on. I guess you guys can maybe let me know what that one means down in the comments or something if you have a better idea, because yeah, I guess I don't really understand what that's saying. Villager double press, select all villagers. Again, guys, this is a good one to have. Select all villagers on villager double press. And all this does, like I said, is if you double press A on a villager, all the villagers that are on your screen, not off, on your screen will be selected. So that's a good one to keep. And likewise, that works with any unit, right? That works with military, trading, boats. Any unit that you double press A on it, any of that specific unit that's also on the screen, it will select it. Okay, double press villager job roles off. I don't think I want that one. Oh, I think what that's saying is like if I double press a villager that's on wood, it will only select villagers that are on wood too, that are on the screen. Leave that one off. Flick selection when the advanced interface and holding left bumper, move the left stick in the direction of the control group and release left bumper to select it. I think this is basically, it has to do with the advanced interface. I know that's what it's saying in the description, and it has to do with like, so with the advanced interface, and we're not going into this in this video because this video is already going to be pretty long as is for just the basic settings. But with the advanced settings, you can kind of individually choose what unit you want to go to food, how many units you want to go to wood, rather than just use the presets. So yeah, I think that's what that's basically explaining. And direct control group shortcut when enabled and in the advanced interface. Again, this is another advanced interface. We're not going to worry about that one right now. So there you guys have it. I think we got through all the settings. Holy cow. I did not expect that video to take that long, but you know, I wanted to take the time to break down the settings for those who wanted to maybe have a little bit better explanation of some of these settings. I hope I did a decent job of doing that, guys. I think we're done here, though. We got through all the settings. If there's anything else that you guys want me to cover settings-wise, let me know in the comments. I can take a look at it and see if it's, you know, something I can make a video about or, you know, make a quick short video about it. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, help me out. Just leave a like, comment, subscribe. It means a ton to me, guys. I'm a small YouTube channel. Every like, every view, every comment, every one of you that show up to this channel, you mean so much to me. You mean the world. You guys are what make this community. We're growing slowly, but we're growing consistently, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video here today. I love all of you, and until next time, guys, this is VG Infection, signing off.